morning, everybody. It is 8:07 here in New York City. I'm Julie Roginski here with Michelle Kinney. It's November 13th. It's not just 8:07 here in New York. It's also 4 p.m. in Moscow, Russia, where the Russians apparently have been sitting on compromise about Trump that Jeffrey Epstein turned over to the Kremlin. Welcome to the Mayday Morning Show.
Welcome to hell.
Welcome to hell. There's a lot to discuss on the Jeffrey Epstein email dump from yesterday, but one particular aspect of this has, no surprise, received very little attention from corporate media. Well, my friends, you're in luck because here's somebody who knows a lot about this particular topic. For years, there have been legitimate questions about why Trump has gone out of his way to kowtow to Vladimir Putin. There are all sorts of theories about why Trump has bent over backwards, Michelle, to give Putin the benefit of the doubt, some of which may not be mutually exclusive. But the one that has always made the most sense is that Putin has something on Trump. Well, last night we discovered what that could possibly be, and everybody missed it. I
think I missed it.
I have a Substack coming out on it today, but guess what? You watch the Mayday Morning Show.
Right.
I'm blowing through the paywall. You get
first dibs.
First dibs and for free here, my friends. You don't have to pay for it in the paywall. In a June 2018 email to former Norwegian President Thorbjorn Jagland, who's also the former chair of the Nobel Committee. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had some pretty powerful friends. Epstein wrote, if Putin wanted to understand Trump, they should just speak to him. And then he referenced Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And in referencing that, Epstein told Jagland, quote, I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov could get insight on Trump by talking to me. And then he added about former Russian ambassador Vitaly Churkin. He said, Vitaly Churkin used to, but he died. Now, Churkin died in February 2017, long enough to see Trump inaugurated and long enough to get whatever Epstein apparently spoke to him about into his hands and over to the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Jagland responded to Epstein. And again, this is all in the emails. And do you see anybody writing about this? Jagland responded, I'll meet Lavrov's assistant on Monday and we'll suggest. So this isn't just two guys shooting the shit. This is actually Epstein offering one of our adversaries dirt on Trump. And the former chair of the Nobel Committee, who's also the former president of Norway, said, yeah, no problem. I'll just get it over to the Russian foreign minister. And Epstein wrote back, Churkin, meaning the former Russian ambassador, Vitaly Churkin, Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversations. I bet he did. You guys, the president is compromised. With yesterday's email dump that is no longer in dispute, Michelle, he is a walking national security threat. And let me just say one thing more. Yesterday, Trump tried to have Nancy Mace off of the resolution. She didn't so far. She wouldn't even take Trump's calls, apparently. But Lauren Boebert did. And on Tuesday, Lauren Boebert, who's one of the other four Republicans who signed on to this petition, Lauren Boebert did take a call from Trump. When she took the call from Trump, apparently it didn't do the trick. So suddenly she ends up meeting with, get this, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, Kash Patel, the FBI director, for them to persuade her. But where do they meet? You ready? They meet in the White House Situation Room. That should blow your mind. Let me explain why it should blow your mind. She didn't get on a call with administration officials to have a conversation about getting off this petition. She was not even called for a meeting to the Department of Justice. Instead, she was summoned to the Situation Room, which is a remarkable location to discuss what's allegedly a standard legislative matter, right? Because the Situation Room is not a conference room where junior members of Congress typically meet. It's the president's principal intelligence, crisis management, and security communications center.
I always think of the Situation Room as the photo with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and all them like this, watching the raid of Osama bin Laden's home.
Well, listen, it provides the president and senior officials with highly classified encrypted communication channels to the Pentagon, To the CIA, the NSA, other intelligence agencies, military commanders around the world, foreign leaders. You're right. It's where Obama watched the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound. It's where President Kennedy monitored the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's where George Bush followed the capture of Saddam Hussein. It's literally the safest room in the world from which to communicate. Why in the world, you might ask, was Lauren Boebert getting briefed on whatever she was getting briefed by the Attorney General and the FBI Director? Why in the Situation Room? I mean, they have a SCIF, which is what these things are, a secure room from which, you can talk in the Justice Department. But they felt that apparently wasn't secure enough. They had to do it at the Situation Room. Based on what I just said about Osama bin Laden, about Jeffrey Epstein turning over information to the Russians about Trump, is there any doubt left anymore from anybody that this guy is compromised? None. And yet everybody in the press is talking about this email about how, the dog that didn't bark and yada, yada. Yeah, the dog that didn't bark is what I'm talking about. There you go. All out there, if anybody bothered to read through these things, and more importantly, if we had a media that actually was able to connect the dots.
What was your first thought when you saw all this? Like, I knew it, or was it like, of course, or,
My first thought actually was legitimately, and I'm not trying to pump up our Mayday media here, but my first thought was anger. My first thought was anger that I, with my little platform on Substack and our little platform here at Mayday Media, are the only ones talking about this. Politico did cover this, but it just covered the email exchange. There was no like holy shit moment. There was no connection to why the hell are they meeting in the Situation Room about something that's just a routine legislative matter.
Right.
Why?
Well, it's so here's the thing. Okay. So I want to pull this up, this quote that was in one of the emails. There's a ton of emails. If people want to go read them, you should go read them, because there's a lot there. And there's only so many words available in articles written for Politico and all these places. You're not going to get all that information. So I encourage everyone to go find it yourselves. But one of the things that stuck out to me was this. Jeffrey Epstein says about Donald Trump, I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body.
Now, look, Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile, so it's not like he's like speaking from the grave and suddenly everything he says applies. But I will say this, and this is also important. Why did Jeffrey Epstein, who used to be Donald Trump's best friend, I mean, Trump has no friends, and apparently the only friend he had was Jeffrey Epstein. Why do they have the falling out? And again, nobody talks about this and the aspect of why
this is about the real estate in Florida, right?
It's relevant. Sort of. It's relevant to the Russia thing that I was talking about.
Right.
So in 2004, Jeffrey Epstein really wanted to buy this Florida mansion called Maison de l'Amitié, which means House of Friendship, ironically.
I can't.
Maison de l'Amitié was for sale because the previous owner, I think, had been declared bankruptcy, yada, yada. It was basically up for auction. And he talked to Trump about how he was desperate to buy this real estate mansion. He wanted to live in it. It was beautiful. It was the chateau looking thing. It was typical Palm Beach tacky, but nevertheless. Trump, his friend, effectively went to the auction and stole it from under Epstein. I mean, could you imagine if you're like, Julie, I'm dying, I have to bid on this.
That's like, of course he did.
Of course he did. But could you imagine if you and I are like, if you tell me about something that you really, it's like basically like stealing a boyfriend, right? Like if you're like, oh my God, I'm really in love with this guy. And I'm like, really, Michelle, good to hear. Whoop, I'm going to
and right.
That's what real estate is for really wealthy people. It's basically their boyfriend. Anyway, Epstein, of course, becomes a big falling out between the two of them. Epstein demands retribution.
Yeah.
And then notably, shortly after outbidding Epstein for the property in 2004, Trump puts Maison de l'Amitié on the market because he had no intention of actually living there or valuing it as anything other than money.
Right.
So that's fine. Okay. But he couldn't get the price. He wanted it for 110 million. He couldn't get it for that much money, but he bought it from Epstein for like 40 million. I mean, for next to nothing.
Yeah.
Not from Epstein, sorry, on this auction. For next to nothing
Yeah, at
again.
the auction, right.
Yeah.
For a bunch of money that Epstein knew that Donald Trump didn't have,
Did not
right?
have. So like
Right. He's like, what the hell?
We don't know, but after putting it on the market, it was eventually bought by a Russian oligarch named Dmitry Rybalov. I speak this language, I can't pronounce it. Rybolovlev, a Russian oligarch, who then sold it off for parts a few years later. So he bought it for more than twice what Trump paid for it. And he is a Russian oligarch. He was the former chairman and majority owner of a fertilizer company called Uralkali in Russia. And then a few years after buying Maison de l'Amitié for a massive markup from Trump, he sold his majority stake in Uralkali to a group of investors, including one with deep ties to Vladimir Putin. So it's a total money washing thing.
Of course.
Like they all are. And probably for Trump too.
Yeah. Well, probably.
The Russian connection there is important, right? It's important. And the Russian and Epstein, I think, considered it important.
Yeah.
So Epstein was like, okay, the Russians don't care that I'm a convicted pedophile. I hate Donald Trump.
Right.
And he offers up all of this info to the Russians. He says he gave it to the Russian ambassador. Now, listen, the Russian ambassador immediately turned it around and gave it to them, to the Kremlin.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Think about, here's the thing. In that Steele dossier that I remind people that the Republicans paid for in 2016, right?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to oust him from their primary and their party. There was the more salacious information that came out of that, other than the Russian connection stuff. The Russia hoax. There is no hoax. I don't know why he uses the word hoax for literally everything. It doesn't even make sense. But the P-tape stuff, I was always like, yup, that sounds exactly like him. I guarantee that's in there. And people are like, well, I don't know if I believe. Why don't you believe it? That's exactly the kind of shit that Donald Trump would do. It's petty. It's gross. It's dirty. He hates a black person. Like he's going to do something, it's just like the whole thing about it is like, of course. So you look at all these other things and you look at that quote from Jeffrey Epstein. And I think it was in the Atlantic or maybe it was the Bulwark or something like that. I don't remember. Yesterday, a headline, it was like, Donald Trump only cares about Donald Trump. And I'm like, yes. Like, it's one of those things that is just so, once you kind of figure that out, you realize there's no any sort of inkling that or instinct or gut feeling that any of us have for any other human being, whether it be empathy or sympathy or anything like that. Donald Trump doesn't feel those things. He just doesn't.
I mean,
he's cruel and awful. He would sell his own children into slavery if it got him more money or got him off the hook for something. He would. He doesn't care. I don't think he cares about anyone.
He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
No.
And anybody
he'll sell out a whole goddamn country.
And then I saw Thomas Massey, who's done a good job on these Epstein tapes, on CNN last night. And he was saying, like, I don't think Trump is personally compromised. I think he's trying to protect other people. Who does Donald Trump remotely care about?
People think this. I don't understand. And Thomas Massey's not a dummy.
Because Thomas Massey didn't, because if you're not thinking about Russia in the way that you should be thinking about Russia, and most of these people aren't. Thomas Massey doesn't know anything about Russia. Like Thomas Massey has shit going on in his life.
Neither do I.
That's my point. Like, why would you pick up on this, Michelle? That's my point. So I'm here to tell you why I pick up on it, because obviously this is my jam. But like, if this is not your jam, you're not going to pick up on it. You shouldn't be expected to pick up on it. I mean, reporters should, at the New York Times, who have Russia experts, should pick up on it. They haven't. This is what this is. He is a national security threat.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Because for some people, it is beyond comprehension. You guys.
I mean, I don't think
comprehend
people
this.
I don't think people can absorb that information and process it. I don't think it's possible for a lot of people to think that another human being can be that awful and that void. He is. And that's why it's like compare him to other dictators who've done horrible things. Compare him. Except some of these other dictators who are horrible, I sometimes think that they have, and I understand what this sounds like, some sort of like redeeming qualities, like they were trying to be artists or they were trying to be this or like there was something else, in there, up in the brain. There's nothing going on for Donald Trump. Nothing.
Listen,
He's a broken, empty, dark hole of awful.
I want people, based on these emails, to just sit with this. Our president is compromised. And with yesterday's email dump, that is no longer in dispute.
Mhm.
I know it's hard to understand. I know it's hard to comprehend. I know that this is contrary to every belief that we have that the president of the United States is a leader whose interest is leading the United States and improving the quality of life for the American people.
Mhm.
I think that is what we have all been conditioned our entire lives to believe because we have had presidents our entire lives who, agree with them or not,
Yeah.
did what they considered to be the right thing for the country.
Mhm.
I mean, I think George Bush was one of the worst presidents in history,
Yeah.
but from his perspective, he was doing what he thought was right for the country.
And I also didn't think that he was gonna sell the country out to a foreign adversary, and that's
Right.
and I think it also goes to the thing that I always say, right? A lack of imagination is a very dangerous thing. Think of the worst possible scenario. Like, I mean, go out of bounds. Think of like the craziest movie, the craziest script, like the nuttiest thing that you could possibly think of, and then believe it because it's happening. And just, I mean, oh my God, the depths of information and things that Donald Trump has given away or told, the nuclear codes. Vladimir Putin probably knows the deepest, darkest secret of our weapons program, like everything. And it's not because people are like, oh, well, Donald Trump just really loves Putin and really looks up to him. Like maybe he looks up to him, but like it's more has to do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is covering his own ass. That's what this is all
Well,
about.
it's that, but it's also it's more than that because if Epstein passed what he knew on to Vitaly Churkin, which he said he did,
Mhm.
and Epstein had tapes, Epstein recorded everything,
Right.
and Epstein
Had
was scared.
cameras all over.
Epstein was scared of Donald Trump. That is what Michael Wolff said in all their conversations. Epstein was scared of Donald Trump. Well, if you're scared of Donald Trump, you're
Crazy.
going to try to get cover from somebody who you want to have something over Donald Trump, and they will owe you. In
Mm.
other words, Donald Trump won't owe you, but the Kremlin will owe you. And the belief is that if you give them what they want and they have Donald Trump in their grasp, that means that you'll be protected.
This is the
I
worst.
don't know. I don't know if that actually happened. I mean, we know that he gave stuff to the Russians because he said so.
Yeah.
Whether he, Churkin now he wants to talk to Lavrov, whether he actually talked to Lavrov or not is unclear. But it doesn't matter because Churkin is just Lavrov's emissary. I mean, he's ambassador to the United States. Like, what else do you need, right? It went straight back to
Mhm.
the Kremlin. It went straight back to either Lavrov or straight to Putin or whoever.
Right.
So they had it. And then he's very worried, according to Michael Wolff, that something's going to happen to him when Trump becomes president. And that indeed something does happen. What we know happened is he got indicted. What happened after he got indicted in that prison, I'm starting to believe, Michelle.
Oh, I don't think that he killed himself. No chance. No way. I do not believe that. I think there was a time where I was like, I don't know, maybe like, I don't think so. No chance. When you look at the list of the most powerful people in the world and the information that he had on all of those people, no chance. Somebody took him out.
So I guess what I'm saying here is that all of this is out there in the open, you guys. This is not Julie and Michelle
No,
having a conspiracy party.
no.
It is out there. Sorry, I have a cold and I'm losing my voice. It is out there that Putin had information on Trump.
Well, think about the remember
He
they said
said so. He said so.
right. And think about remember when he went to Alaska to go meet
10 minutes
Putin,
alone. 10 minutes
10
alone.
minutes alone, and whatever happened, whatever, the White House staffers, the members of his staff came out and was it Peter Alexander reported that like the color had left their faces, that they looked like they'd seen a ghost. Something bad had happened. Something was said that was so awful that it looked like their souls left their bodies. And and I say all that to say, one of the last things I want to say here on this topic is that Caroline Levitt was one of them. And Caroline Levitt, I have to wonder, what the hell's going on there? She was asked about all the stuff in like the Situation Room and all the stuff. Here's two clips I'm going to show.
President ever spent hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us.
And
Transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing.
Did anybody ask why they were in the Situation Room? Did anybody in the White House press room have the wherewithal to say, hey, by the way, Caroline, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Why would you take her in there?
In the Situation Room, like there's other places in the White House to have this meeting. Why, oh, why, as the Attorney General traveling from the Department of Justice, along with the FBI director traveling from wherever he's going to watch his girlfriend perform, to go to the Situation Room? Why? I mean, why, oh, why, Caroline? Did this meeting?
I have to wonder what is going through her. I mean, she's diabolical, but like, I just, at what point do you walk up to that podium and you're like, I'm not going to lie for a pedophile anymore? And here's the thing, when she's like, because he was a creep and a pedophile, and I was, all I kept thinking was that meme from Mean Girls where it's like, so you agree? So you agree Jeffrey Epstein's a pedophile? So when more information comes out, you will be able to confirm that he was, and anybody who did stuff with him probably was too, So it's just, I like the absolute hypocrisy, pretzeling yourselves,
Notice her cross is off her neck because I guess it would burn.
It'd probably burn into her chest.
In her chest if she kept it up. All right, we got to move on. By the way, everybody, you know what today is?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what today is, you guys? Today is our friend Michelle Kinney's 10th wedding anniversary.
I normally wouldn't like say anything or like make a thing about it, but I feel like 10 years is like a pretty good chunk of time. Like that 10 years. Yeah, I'm like 10 years is like is legit. And I pulled up a photo so you can see what I looked like 10 years ago, and you can see what Joe looked like 10 years ago. This is us on the day of our wedding.
Look at how beautiful. Yeah, Michelle, look at her hair. Look at how beautiful.
Oh, that's very sweet. But it was a very good day. That is on top of the Edison Hotel looking into into Manhattan, and we got married in Times Square area. So it was great, and I just wanted to share that because that's fun. And 10 years later, here we are. But
10
that's
years later, you still haven't kicked him to the curb, which is
exactly, and nor
love
has he.
or he hasn't kicked you to the curb. We love Joe. Joe's the best. So
Yeah.
happy anniversary to you and Joe.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
Sandra
you.
Banker, happy birthday to you.
Ooh, yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Okay. Better than me, my husband, who forgot our wedding anniversary last year. Totally.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
As we say, every day is our wedding anniversary, so it's not a
Well, see, there you go. You know what? And if you're both forgetting it, that's like probably a good sign. And then if you're both also not upset about it, also a good sign.
totally not upset
It's
about
like,
it.
it's just
Very
another day. It's
no.
just another day.
Deeply
So-
happily married every day, so don't.
Exactly. Well, should we talk about the economy, Julie?
We could talk about the economy, Michelle. Why don't we move on?
Yeah, let's talk about the economy. The economy is tanking. If you didn't already know this because of the layoffs and the inflation, but now the White House is admitting it too. And speaking of our friend Caroline Levitt, let's listen to her right now.
Investors and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
Cool. So let this sink in, everyone, that the White House is not going to ever release a jobs report. And of course, this means that the report is so bad that they anticipate future reports being so bad that they would rather further tank the economy than to disclose any of this information. Oh my God.
You guys, like the markets and companies depend on the jobs report to figure out what is happening with the nation's economy and whether they should invest or pull back or what they should do.
You know what I like in this too? And I only know this because I used to be a broke 25-year-old with a debit card. You know, like late at night, you'd go into the bodega and you'd have to like take, $20 out to go do whatever.
Yeah.
And they give you the little slip and it had the balance on
Yeah.
your checking account. And
You
you
could also,
like,
have like a $10 fee for using
oh
it.
God, that too. And you're like, yeah, whatever, because
Yeah.
it's in the middle of the night.
Because you got a few drinks, yeah.
Right. And so it gives you the balance, but you like don't want to know. So you just kind of like crumple it up
Yep.
and you throw it away.
Yep.
And then you keep using your card and it's like overdrafting. Like,
And you don't want to
you're like,
know.
la 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 la,
Yep.
swipe now, worry later.
Yep.
That is that that scenario, but on a whole country. That's kind of how I'm feeling about that,
So I don't know if people here read my Substack, you know that every Sunday I list the price of eggs, the price of bacon, and the price of apples, because that's what Donald Trump on December 15th promised to lower on Meet the Press. And I just track whether he went through with that commitment. 2 weeks ago, suddenly, I usually check it on Saturdays, the Bureau of Labor Statistics did not release the price of apples. The Fed releases the others for whatever reason, but maybe because it's fruit, the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the apples, and they're released weekly, whereas bacon and eggs are released monthly, and that's from the Fed. And I was like, that's weird. Why is this not available? Why is this down? And then last week it was available. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to screw around with this. That if the news is not good, they're not going to release it, which I guess is better than releasing fake numbers.
Well, because they were asking people to cook the books essentially, and then people kind of like wouldn't do it. They were like, I'm not doing that. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just not do it.
They also fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, just so you know.
Yep.
Like, that's crazy train.
Crazy train.
And then they're blaming the Democrats for this. Like, what the hell are you?
Listen, they could fall off their bikes and hurt their knees. They'd be like, the Democrats. Oh, how dare they do this to me?
It's really crazy.
they listen, the Republicans have a fainting couch that they use all day, every day, about all topics at all times. And on the fainting couch, it says, Democrats did this. And I just also need to say, as an aside, if I hear them say Democrat Party one more time,
That's how they do it because
I
it's
know
crazy.
it drives me nuts. And I keep thinking, I'm like, I want to start calling them like Republic Party, the Republic Party or something like that. And I think we should all do it just to like be annoying, because if they're going to, the Democrat Party, it drives me insane.
The wall.
Insane. I hate it. But it's, yeah, they blame us for all of their failures. And again, it's like, how are they supposed to be the party of fiscal responsibility and conservative financial,
Does anybody really believe that
policies
still? Does anybody actually still believe that?
and small government? Because all they do, George Bush, Donald Trump, they destroy the economy, and then the Democrat has to come in and clean it up, and then has to answer to like 4 years of, well, why is the economy, and why is the economy? And they're like, well, we're trying to fix it, dummies. And then the other person wins, they come in, and then they do it all over again. And it's like no one remembers. It's and again, but you know what? I also kind of blame the Democrats. I blame the Democrats because as much as I love Joe Biden, right? I love Joe Biden. However, he was not very good at taking victory laps. He was not good at placing blame where it belonged and putting money behind messaging to take credit for all the new programs and all the new things. And it's like, it should have been Joe Biden and the Democrats did this. And, it's gross and we don't want to do that, but that's the world we're living in now. And if you do not tell people that, and if you do not put it on a big ass sign, people don't know. I mean, Donald Trump signed his name on a check that he didn't even approve. I mean, my God, he'd stick his name on a pile of dog shit if he could,
Yeah, as long as that pile of dog shit.
Yeah, if it looked right, I was like, oh, that looks like a nice pile of dog shit. It's gonna be Trump dog shit. It's like, hello. That's what I would.
For people who think we're bashing Democrats, we're not bashing them. We're trying to make them a better.
No, I'm a Democrat.
Like if you don't tell your friends that they're messing up and you enable them, they're going to continue to mess up.
Correct.
All right. On that note, Michelle, we should move on.
We should move on. And you know what we're going to show in the transition? Instead of our little music, I'm going to show this 90-second video that my friends, and I did text them this morning being like, oh my God, my friends over at The Daily Show put this together. My friend Ryan is one of the best editors I think I've ever worked with. He's so great. So anyways, this is great. And it shows the hypocrisy again of Republicans calling out Democrats for things that they do and excuse all the time.
Not even be.
Oops.
All of these promises by Zoran Mamdani cannot even be done.
We're looking at Greenland, and we have to take back the Panama Canal.
Many of the promises that he has made are third grade running for school president promises.
Canada would be great as our cherished 51st state.
They only see the great things that he's proposing that are obviously completely unrealistic in a 4-year term.
We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier.
The policies that he's talking about have never worked.
The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
And his tax policies are impossible.
You could maybe not even have an income tax system when this thing works out.
I think his positions, the basic thing I said, that the numbers don't add up.
We've cut drug prices by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500%. And his ideas are ridiculous. Doge, we're looking to get it maybe to $1 trillion.
It's wishful thinking. It's not going to happen.
We're coming up with the answers for autism. You watch.
It's easy to tweet. It's much harder to enact and follow through on the promises that you actually made on the campaign trail.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And he feels that New Yorkers should be guaranteed just all sorts of freebies. How to pay for this doesn't matter. The air traffic controllers.
The ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
All of these promises by Zoran.
So good. Anyways.
Well, Michelle, it's here. Drum roll. The rise of yet another Kennedy, just what this country was missing. Yesterday, John Bouvier Kennedy Schlossberg announced that he's running for the congressional seat currently held by retiring my congressman, Jerry Nadler. Jack Schlossberg, who graduated from both Harvard Law School and Business School, but currently goes by the title of social media influencer, made the announcement yesterday from the Upper East Side, where his mom has lived for a long time. His accomplishments include, you ready for this? He's very accomplished. Passing the New York bar exam in 2023 and working as a political correspondent for Vogue during the 2024 election. I'm sure he got that entirely on the merits. He was also a delegate to the Democratic National Convention last year, a role he got after toiling in the trenches on behalf of the party relentlessly for decades. I'm just kidding. He didn't toil for the party in the trenches. He's been mouthing off on TikTok, Michelle. But now he's running for Congress and suddenly getting coverage as though, like, the second coming of Jesus has entered the race. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of afraid to share my thoughts with you, Julie.
No,
because I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Why? Tell me why. Convince me I'm wrong.
So there's a few reasons here. Well, first of all, I want, in case people don't know who Jack Schlossberg is, because people honestly might not know. This is just a little bit of his little video that he put out.
Years after America was founded and our country is at a turning point. It's a crisis at every level. A cost of living crisis sponsored by the Big Beautiful Bill. Historic cuts to social programs working families rely on. Healthcare, education, childcare. A corruption crisis. The president has made almost $1 billion this year. He's picking winners and losers from inside the Oval Office. It's cronyism, not capitalism. And a constitutional crisis with one dangerous man in control of all three branches of government. He's stripping citizens of their civil rights and silencing his critics. The worst part is, it doesn't have to be this way, and it wasn't always. We deserve better, and we can do better. And it starts with the Democratic Party winning back control of the House of Representatives.
Okay, so this goes on. Go find him, go watch it. So a few reasons. Okay, so first of all, as you all know, or maybe you don't, I used to be the vice president of Community Free Democrats, which is now called West Side Democrats. I was the vice president of that club. It was originally founded in 1968 by Jerry Nadler and a bunch of anti-establishment Democrats. So I know the Upper West Side. I know how this is going to go. I know that the club people and the Jerry Nadler, machine has already picked someone that they, and I don't know that he's come out and said it. Maybe he has. I don't think so. So Michael Asher is like a nice guy. Like, I have nothing against Micah. He's lovely. And he's been helpful to us when we have had issues. He's the assembly member right now. And he used to work for Eric Schneiderman. He used to work for Cuomo. Like, he's the guy. He's been around. And his mom actually was the president of the club. So, but here's the thing. This is where we probably part ways, Julie.
No, it's okay.
I know. And it's fine. Like, we should disagree on things. Yeah. But I have John F. Kennedy's 1960s campaign poster, original campaign poster, hanging in my living room, and with all the faults of the Kennedy family, and there are many, and it kind of goes against all the things that I sort of say and preach around here. But I do love Caroline, and I've always really loved Caroline Kennedy. She's been the one that I really liked, and I always kind of felt bad for her, and I don't know. And I've followed Jack for a long time. I've known who he was. I've known who his sisters were. I think his sisters are really smart. His sister looks just like Jackie. It's kind of crazy. But I actually, his brand of kind of wackadoo online, I don't know. I like it. And I think it's actually kind of refreshing just knowing West Side politics, and the new district, right, is drawn. It used to just be the West Side kind of down into parts of Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen, but now it's drawn right across the park. And so it really does cover most of the Upper West Side and most of the Upper East Side, which is interesting because they're two different kinds of people. The Upper East Side's a lot of stuffy old money that people who vote for Cuomo, and the West Side.
Like the Kennedys.
Yes. And the Upper West Side is kind of like newer money. Does that make sense? I always think of West Side as being much more liberal, much more like watch You've Got Mail. That's the Upper West Side. So anyways, I don't know. I think that Jack is all the things that we roll our eyes at. I think that he's like a young white guy who's just kind of shuffling around, but he's had, he's lived all around the world when his mom was an ambassador. And I don't know. I also just love the other part of this is sticking it to RFK Jr. He has been extremely vocal calling out his family. In fact, I think he's probably pigeonholed himself in the family. And like from what I've heard, there's a lot of rifts and like not everyone's kind of mad. And like they're all like, well, we're not going to say anything. I think of like the Bushes, right? The Bushes don't say anything. And like, Kennedys are very similar. But Jack is the one who pushed his mom to speak out against RFK Jr. Around the nomination. He has himself spoken out about it. And, White House hits back after JFK's grandson calls RFK Jr. a rabid dog. I enjoy this. So, I just think that there's a lot of things there to not like about this and to roll your eyes about. But, in this moment that we're living in and the kinds of things that I think this moment requires, it's very unique. I think that Jack is the kind of person who can deliver those things, especially in the online world in a Mondani kind of way. I think that he can. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll lose. I don't know. But I think that he's probably going to win. That's just my feeling.
Well,
I know, the things. I know.
You may be right that he might win. And from my perspective, we disagree on this. It will be yet another unqualified Lucky Sperm Club recipient failing up into Congress. Like there are people in the 12th Congressional District of New York who have done a lot of things with their lives.
Micah's one of them.
You and I, Michelle. I mean, we're not running, but the point is we've done shit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he's done. He's got a lot of good degrees. In the 8th grade, he started this is the part that drives me crazy. In the 8th grade at an elite New York City private school, you guys, he started a charity for the less fortunate and raised $1 million for it. Now I ask you, as somebody who has a son in the 8th grade, if he were to start a charity today and raise $1 million, would mommy be raising that money for him? Or would my son be getting on the phone to millionaires who he has developed a relationship with to donate $1 million to his charity? I think we know
a little bit of both, right?
I think the reason that he was able to raise this money is because mom had a lot of rich.
Of course, and dad, and I think his dad is an accomplished person in his own right. But the thing is, I
don't like it. I just don't like it. By the way, I truly don't like it. We can agree to disagree.
Listen, he may start running a campaign and like be like, oh God, this guy is like, he needs to get out of here. But I just don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that Jack is going to go door to door in people's apartment buildings. I think he's going to show up because of all of those reasons. And I think he knows that people are going to say all those things about him and think all of those things about him. And he understands something. I'm assuming that John F. Kennedy became president for a lot of reasons. But one of those reasons was going kitchen table to kitchen table to kitchen table on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And he made a lot of relationships with these voters. The Upper West Side of Manhattan has the largest number of prime voters, I think at least in the city, maybe the state, which means people who voted in the last 3 consecutive elections, like any election. Those are prime voters. There are more of them in this part of the city than anywhere else. Very, very, very active, very motivated. And I think that he probably, just based on family, understands that, and growing up here understands that. And I don't know, I think that it's...
Let me ask you this, Michelle. If he were not John Bouvier Kennedy Schlossberg, if he were just Jack Schlossberg with a different mom, would you or anybody else be paying attention to him even though he has a Twitter, like he wouldn't have the followers on Twitter that he has, or sorry, TikTok that he has.
He beat Cameron Kasky, who's also running.
He's just a guy, right? So my point is
Cameron Kasky. Like
right.
Cameron Kasky is one of the Parkland kids. He's one of the people on the FY pod with Tim Miller. He's an actor. He's a theater kid. He's like me. He's like in his early 20s. He hasn't really done much other than, I mean, not to say that it's not much, but you know, he's on TV and he does the podcast and he did March for Our Lives with all of his other classmates and like, you know, but he'd be Cameron Kasky. But when we know him too, and we have feelings about him too.
Yeah. So but Cameron Kasky, at least is a Parkland kid, so that's how he got to be where he is.
Right.
Tragically.
Very
tragically.
Yeah.
But Jack Schlossberg would just be some guy. He'd just be some guy that nobody would be talking about. He wouldn't be a top contender for the seat. And I guess, you know, his sister Tatiana is actually married to the son of one of my very close friends. She's a doctor. She's really accomplished. She has every reason to run. Like this woman has done stuff, right?
Yeah, that's not her thing though.
It's not her thing. But my point is, this guy, from everything I can tell, is somebody who went to law school, went to business school, did well, but he never practiced law, never worked in business. I think never really did anything except become a social media influencer. And then this, you know, stupid like Vogue assignment because Anna Wintour is close to Caroline Kennedy, to his mom.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I know. I think about comparatively, if you think about media from now and media in the 90s, he's a lot like his uncle.
Yes, except that I don't think his uncle ran for anything. I think his uncle was going to run for something.
He was going to.
But at least his uncle set up a magazine. At least his uncle tried to do something.
Right.
Caroline tried to run for the Senate and got shot down because she hadn't done anything. To her credit, she went and became an ambassador to two different countries, to Japan and to Australia. She's done stuff. Now she can come back and run for something. My attitude is just go do something. At least Mamdani, like him or hate him, at least he worked in the assembly. He was an assemblyman for a little while. Like, okay. But anyway.
I don't know. Listen, I may say, I may regret words to regret. Maybe.
And I would regret. I mean, listen, maybe this guy will blow me away. Maybe if I ever met him and had a discussion with him, he would make the pitch to me as to why he's qualified, aside from his last name or his mother's full name, I should say. But I mean, I'll give him a chance.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the fact that we're talking about him because he is a Kennedy. Like that's the only reason he's on anybody's radar. I hate that.
Well, it's the only, I mean, and listen, this is good and bad, right? I'm using this as an example. It's the only reason we know a lot about a lot of people is because of, you know, George Bush or like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, and again, that could be a very bad thing or it could be a very maybe okay thing or a good thing. I don't know.
He also, by the way, Jack, needs to learn how to read a prompter and, you know, be a little bit more authentic when reading the prompter. I was
actually very confused by his choice in doing that. I think that he's getting like Kennedy advice about that. And I think if I was to give him advice, I'd just be like, you need to just continue to be yourself more because
being himself is nutso. I mean, he has these crazy like.
Well, he's a Bouvier. That's why I'm like, I think of him more as a Bouvier than a Kennedy because I think of Little Edie and Grey Gardens. And like, I think he's got a lot of that in him. And I find that to be delightful. I think he's Little Evie has been reincarnated into Little Jack Schlossberg with her little, wait, hold on. Sorry. I'm like Little Evie, you know?
Oh my God, Michelle, we don't need Little Edie representing us. Although I got to say, our current congressman, Jerry Nadler, there's a diner down the street from where I live. And sometimes I go there. And Congress typically is in session when I go there because it's a weekday. Sometimes I go there to get some breakfast like around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning if I have some time, which I typically don't. Jerry Nadler is always there. Like literally, like you want to talk to your congressman?
Yeah, Jerry is super, super, super accessible. Yeah.
But it's not that he's accessible. Like he, you know,
just a normal person.
Yeah, he's a normal guy. And I guess, listen, I'm a fan of Jerry Nadler. He was the chief sponsor in the House of my NDA bill. which is so near and dear to my heart. So I am very grateful to him for his service.
We're like the same height too. Like we're the same height as Jerry Nadler.
Oh,
And all the photos I have with him, it's like
I actually did a press
Right.
conference standing next to Jerry Nadler, and I'm 5'3" on a very good day, and I think I was towering over Jerry Nadler.
Yeah, it was wear heels and it's like forget it.
But he is a great. I mean, from my perspective, he's done a really good job for at least on my issues. So I'm very
Yes, and again, I remind people this Community Free Democrats. I'm sure you can probably look this up and read about it. Formed in 1968 because Jerry Nadler, as a young man, a young Democrat, and all of his other young Democrat friends at the time, think about what was going on in the country in 1968, ran against all of the the district leaders and I think it was like assembly members. Like they primaried everybody in the area and they won. And so they were part of this reform in like West Side, Democrats and representation. And they kind of set forth a new generation of representation on the West Side. And it was a big deal. And so, and for that club existed for 50 years before it merged with two other ones and became something else. But, it's, being a member of that club, and Jerry, like he was kind of the patriarch of this whole West Side sort of movement, and Scott Stringer and Eric Schneiderman, like that, those were the people that we were, which funny enough, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
The beauty of living on the Upper West Side is you go to a playground, you see Scott Stringer there, you go to a diner, you see Jerry Nadler. I don't want to talk about Eric Schneiderman because that was oof. But rough. But hey, you know what? Jack Schlossberg, why don't you come on the show? Because
I think we should ask him.
We have profound disagreements about his candidacy, and I think we should both talk to him. Michelle could fangirl over him.
I'm not a fangirl. I'm not a fangirl. I just think that he's
refreshing. I know.
I find it refreshing these days from the crap that, I don't know.
I know. And I can
says in the chat, show us what you got, Jack. That's what I'm saying. Show us what you got.
Come on the show, show us what you got. Michelle, you got to go.
I do. I have to run over to the East Side. Yes. Another part of Jack Schlossberg's district.
Yes, Michelle is going to be spending the day in the 12th Congressional District of New York today.
I am.
I will be traveling further south today to somebody else's, to Dan Goldman's congressional district today. So
Brad Lander's going to primary him. That's what I hear.
I spoke to Brad Lander. Told me he's going to primary him.
Yeah.
Maybe I should say that out loud, but.
No, I mean, that's the word on the street. I mean, I don't know. He may have even been talking about it, but that's what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be back here at 11 a.m. with Olga Lautman for our Pax Americana show. And meantime, catch us tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. Again, we got some stuff that we did not get through today, Michelle, in the rundown.
We didn't. I'm so sorry.
No.
We didn't. Yeah, we can talk about that. Later.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great to see you all. Let us know what you think about Jack Schlossberg.
Yeah, let us know. Maybe we're both wrong. Maybe we're both right. Maybe we're both wrong. And over at the Seneca Project, I'm doing a little pre-tape, so it won't be live, but at 7:30 tonight, I'll be on the stakes with Tara Setmayer. So check that out too. And guys, we'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Instead of helping